scripted. Can you hear me? I don't know if everything is working fine. Let's wait. I don't know if I am audible. So it should be. Can you hear me? I think I'll need to wait so that some folks can join and tell me if I am audible. Hello, can you hear me? Could you please drop a message? Let me check on my. Okay, all right. So, the people who are here, could you please drop from which country are you? So that maybe in future we can plan some time which works for most of the people who joins here. So that time we can open our application which we were building from Iraq. Label timer. So in previous live stream we were discussing and we started building a simple .NET MAUI Blazor hybrid desktop application for tracking the times with label timer, those named timers. In this live stream, we are going to continue building that application. I'll try to make it beginner friendly. Let me run what we built in our previous session. This is the simple application we built. It is a desktop application where on the left section we are going to have simple text if no timer is there or no timer is selected. Then on the right hand side we have this small sidebar where we have this text box and add button which is disabled by default. If we add something here, let's say timer 1, and if we press add, this timer is going to be added here. And when we select this timer, it will be going to picked up here. We will design this, we will get it to work. Then we also worked on uh, key press events and all, so that right now if we don't want to press this add button, we can simply press the enter button, then also it is going to be added. And by default the button is disabled. If we try to enter something, this button gets enabled. So this basic stuff we have done in our previous live stream. This is simple .NET MAUI Blazor hybrid application where we cleaned up our layout. Does not have anything, just body, then home page where we are going to have all our logic and everything, which simply has a container fluid with one row with two columns. One is called SM9 for the left section, 75%, then 25% right sidebar. And then we have this timer section, which is a control, the component, shared reusable component is here. So timer related stuff, we have it here. On selection, we are raising one event, this event callback. It gets picked up by the main home page and it gets set into selected timer, which we are showing on the main screen. This is what we have done in our previous live stream. In this, we are going to continue this. All right. Okay. So first thing what we need to move this timer text to the center of the scale, vertically and horizontally both. It should be in center. All right. For this, what we can do inside this, we can maybe have a display grid here. Let's try it. We'll say D grid, which will be display grid. Then we already have style. In this style, let's try one style. We'll see. So place items center. Save it. Let's try hot reload will not work because this is running in non-debugging mode. Let's try running the app and we'll see if it goes to the center. Hi from Mexico. Okay, so it is building. We have some error. Why? Process cannot access this because this is running in non-debugging mode. Oh, it went to the center. Let's try again. Okay, app is here and the main text is in center. Fine. Let's try to add some timer like this, and this is also in center. Cool. So we have this section in center. Now next thing what we'll do, we will try to render a timer here. So hours, minutes, seconds, and then it should start working. We will have buttons to control that playing, pausing, and all those stuff. Start, stop, pause, resume, all these things. Right now, let's try to get it work. All right. So here we have no timer is selected. Then we have this H1 selected timer. Now what we can do? We can maybe create a separate component where we will have the timer display and all those buttons, all those things. Okay. For that, I need to stop the application, and in shared, let's create a new razor component. Here we can simply say maybe selected timer. Selected timer. Selected timer. Selected timer dot razor. Right? Now for this, we will pass whatever selected timer we have. This thing, this entire thing, this app timer. We are going to pass this app timer to this selected timer component. And then we are going to have everything related to that selected timer, that's enter screen in this component. Okay. We need it as a parameter the way we did in selected timers. There we had this event callback as a parameter. But this time we need a value from parent is home.raise is selected time. The way we are going to use it in this else condition, here we are going to use that. Here we can say selected timer. Now we just need to pass this selected timer, this app timer to this. So from parent, which is this home component, we need to pass the value to the child component, which is selected time. So from parent to child, we use props, properties. Okay, these are called props in front-end JavaScript frameworks. In React, Vue, these are props. In Angular, these are input properties. And in Blazor world, these are parameters. So here, let's create a parameter, and looks like IntelliSense tweaked out public app timer. Here we'll say selected timer or just timer. Get, and this is going to be a parameter which is required for this component to function. Okay. Now here, if we press space, we can see timer is here as a prop. Now we'll pass this at the rate selected timer, this underscore selected timer to this time. Right now, if we not provide this, it will not do anything, but there is no error, no warning, nothing. So in Blazor, if we have something, some parameter which is required to function, we have one more attribute which we can add, that is called editor required. Okay, so this is going to show us a warning on the main consuming part. You see, we have this line, and if we hover over it, it says component selected timer expects a value for the parameter timer, but a value may not have been provided. It will not give any error, but it shows us this warning so that we know that okay, we need to pass the timer. So here we'll simply say timer equals underscore selected timer, and now we good, that warning is gone from it. Now this thing what we had here, we can simply get rid of this from here. We can simply go to the selected timer. Here we can add that name of this parameter is going to be changed to @timer. Now we save it and run it. It should look and behave same. We just refactored that to a separate component. See, application is here. Where is it? Is here. Timer 1, enter, select it, and we can see. That means the functionality still same. Okay, so the people who joined right now, could you please drop your country from where you are joining? And if you were not part of the previous live stream, so we were building a .NET MAUI Blazor hybrid desktop application which tracks time, and these times we are using timers which are going to be named timers, labeled timers. So the motivation behind this, it was simple. I am mostly working on multiple projects at the same time. Then I just need to track time for time spending on different projects. So we have some thing that Clockify we have, but there are a lot of solutions which has a lot of things which I don't need. I just need simple tracking. Okay. So for that, I'm building this application where I can create new timers with some names, and then I can start those timers. Those timers can be run simultaneously or one by one, the way whatever you want to do with those. This is going to be a pretty simple basic application. I'm making it as beginner friendly as I can. In a Okay, all right. So let's continue. Now we have this timer here. Let's first wrap everything in a div. Then we are going to have the timer section, main timer section. We are going to have hours, we are going to have minutes. I from India. So hours, minutes, seconds. We are going to have those three things. So let's try to do this. The And then we are going to have some button, right? So first, let's not have button. Let's just have simple timer, which will directly start work. By technical. Here, what we'll do, we can simply have one. We are going to have a private time span. Time, we'll see what we can have here. Then we are going to say override on parameter set. Now, there is one more method on initialized, which we can over. Now we have these two methods. One is on initialized, one is on parameter set. Okay. So now let's see how these methods are getting called. Let me put a breakpoint here, and I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Let me start the application. I should add one more timer. So what I want to show you. Let me stop the app first, and let's simply print the same thing, the timer dot name. Now let's run. So are you guys aware of all these lifecycle methods of Blazor? Right now, no breakpoint got hit because we don't have this component yet on the screen, because it comes, this is selected timer, but right now there is no timer which is right. First we need to create couple of timers. Let's create timer 1, timer 2, timer 3, 4, 4 timers. I'm going to select timer 2. We got a breakpoint on initialized. Continue. We went to on parameter set. Continue. Fine. Now let me select timer 1. This time on initialized did not get hit. The breakpoint directly came to on parameter. Continue. Click on timer 1 again. Again we have this on parameter set. Continue. Select timer 4. It again came to on parameter set, but initially it didn't come to this, right? And we can have one more thing. Let me have a cross button somewhere here on top, or somewhere else, so that we can cancel this current timer, or maybe we can cancel the current selected timer. Okay, let's do this. Then I'll show you something else related to these things only. So on the home screen where we have these things, here only inside this, or maybe in this div class row, where should we have? Maybe inside this row, I don't know, let's have it somewhere, then we'll try to set it. Button type, button class btn, btsm, btn danger. So danger is for red color. Let's have a X button here. Save it, and let's maybe have, we have position absolute. Okay, so we have this position absolute. Now it will be on left top. Then we just need to set it somewhere. So we'll style top 5 px, and right, let's have a calci of 25%. How will we have right now? Let's have something like 20 from top and from, it will be somewhere here, and we'll try to design it to move it to some other place. And then when we click on this button, it should remove the current selected timer. Okay, let's do that. Class and style, we are going to have on click. We'll say remove selected timer, and we can create this method here. Now it's up to us. If we directly have it, we can also use the direct lambda function here. If this is simple single line, so we can have at the rate on click. This tells that this is a function which should run on click. So here what we need to do, we need to just set this underscore selected timer to null. Save it. Let's try to right. It come, yes, it's coming. Right now this is ugly looking button, but see, timer 1, timer 2, timer. Okay, let me select the timer 1 on initialize async, continue on parameter set. Then timer 2, it came to on parameter set, continue. Timer 3 on parameter set, continue. Yes, it is going to on parameter set only. Now if I cancel this, now if I again try to select timer 2, this time it again went to on initialize. This time it didn't go to on parameter set. So what is happening here? Now what happens if we go to home? Here we are seeing if we don't have selected timer, then it is not going to render this selected timer. So first time when we select any timer from the right sections, it comes here, it renders this component for the first time. So when the first time the component is being initialized, it is going to call this on initialized method. Okay. Now, if this is already there, then we click on the any other timer. It will come here. It will see the selected timer is already on the screen. So Blazor is performant. It knows that it is already there. That means that component is already initialized. So it does not need to initialize it again. Okay. But the value of the parameter has changed, or we'll say might be changed. In that case, it simply comes here, it tells that maybe this parameter is changed and maybe you want to display or render something else on the basis of this thing. So this is how it works. On parameter set is always going to render in this case, or always going to execute in this case. If we have some initialization logic, then that we can have in this on initialized. But for this particular case, we don't need this on because we just need the current selected timer, which we will get inside first timer also and for the subsequent time. Okay, so we will have all our logic inside this on parameters. Now what logic we are going to have right now? Let's just reset this time. It will say time span or maybe just a just 00, right? We should have time span dot time span dot. We have this thing non-invocable method because underscore time is time span dot zero. Now we just need to show this time here. After this h1, maybe we are going to have a table. Inside this, we are going to display time. Now we are going to have property here. So private string, let's say display time, something like this, or display timer. Okay, it will be underscore time dot to string. The way we want it to display is HH, MM, and S. Now we were working on our what's that restaurant POS application. If you remember, if you are following me, so then I got to know that if we do this direct thing with the time span, it throws error. So these columns, it cannot have these columns direct into. We need to change these. We need to escape these. These will be this at the rate, and then it will be able to display these columns. This display timer, this we will display inside. Right now, what it will do, we will have it hard coded as 00 for the first case, or whenever we change, it will not get modified because we don't have that logic. Whenever it is coming here, we're simply setting time span 0. Let's remove this first. We'll design it later. Timer 1, select it, and we have this 00. Let's go home, move this button, or let's say comment this button out. Now we need to update this timer, this display timer, or maybe let's just have this timer only. Time, rename timer, save it. Now whenever we are here on parameter set, we want to display, we want to start a timer. Names are getting confused. Timer. We need to just start this timer. Okay, so for this we need to have some logic which will periodically update this time, and then that period is up to you. Do you want to be on milliseconds level? Do you use it on seconds level, minutes, or whatever level you want? We'll have seconds levels. On this level we'll go here. You can have a method private sync task. Okay, we can say start timer. All right, now we want this to run periodically. Now in C# we have multiple timers for the best suited timer for this thing is periodic time. It was got introduced in .NET 6. We have a class periodic timer, a private periodic timer underscore periodic timer. Okay. Then on parameter set async, we are going to set first timer 0. Then we'll set this timer to new periodic timer. Okay. Now it needs something. What does it need? It needs the time span period. We need to provide on what interval it should run. Here we'll say time span but from seconds should run on interval of second. After setting this, we'll simply start this timer method. Start timer. Now we will use this as a fire and forget kind of thing so that it does not wait for anything. That means we'll simply change this to async. Now we have the start timer. Here we should have some logic to handle this periodic timer interval. Right now it will simply start work. So on this periodic timer, we have a method that is wait for next tick is which we can await, and it is a value task of boolean, waits for the next tick of the timer or for the timer to be stopped. Then it will simply run this thing whatever we have inside this. Okay, we need to have some logic what we are going to put inside this. All right, what we should put, we will simply increase the timer by 1 second. Can we do this? We can do this, but there is a problem with this. What this wait for next tick is saying, if this operation somehow takes time or somehow this didn't come directly to this within 1 second, it is going to add up. That means there might be cases where we will be running this code after 2 seconds. There might be some case because it simply piles up all the next ticks, it clubs those, and goes inside this once for all those. What I mean is, let's say for first second it came, it executed, it went to for second, the second number 2, it comes here. Then when this process was happening, the second got passed, then third second came, but it was still trying to do this. Third second will wait here. Then when it was trying, the fourth second came. So now the fourth second is here. So it will simply wait for both third and fourth second. It will come inside only once. It will not come for third and fourth. This time we will have two things at the same time. If we say timer, if we are adding 1 second to it, on the fourth second it will have timer with 3 seconds. That is not correct. This sounds confusing, but I would recommend you guys to read about this periodic timer, which is a pretty good thing. But this is how it works. We will not go with this approach that increasing the timer by 1 second. Rather, what we'll do, we'll simply use datetime.now, and then we'll simply subtract timer that we will have the actual value here. Okay, so we can have datetime.now. What is the current date? From this, we are going to minus timer value. Okay, if I do this or new time or something like this, this is of time date time. This is not what we want. We need a time span. So we'll subtract these, then we'll get the total. We can use the ticks from time span. Can we use the ticks time span dot from ticks? can have this thing here. Now new timer value is this one. This timer's value is this one. So we can directly set this timer. Now we will have timer updated with this subtraction logic. And on the basis of this timer, we have this timer with this updated value. All right. Now we need to handle that case also if we are on the same timer and if we are clicking on the same timer again. Okay, we'll handle it later. Right now, let's just see if this works. Try to run this. Sure. Okay, is here. Save this timer 1 and timer 2. Check the timer 1 and it is not working. Now let's do this. Go to the code and put a breakpoint here. Here as well. Select timer 2. Came here. We are here. Start timer. It came here. Timer. Oh, I have done this if. So it will only use the first time. It will not work. It will not continue doing whatever it is doing. Right? Just instead of if, this should be a never ending loop. That means it's a while loop. Stop this, and let's put a breakpoint here. Save it and just run it again. We are here. Add the timer, add it, select it. We have this breakpoint got hit. Continue. Again came. Continue. It will simply keep on coming. I remove the breakpoint. Continue it. But we can see this is not getting updated. Now, why this is happening? For this, how Blazor tracks the changes. So, whatever variable we are having or property we are having, if we are modifying those directly, Blazor knows that something has changed and it will re-render the HTML template. Now, what is happening here? When we're starting this timer as an sync void, now this is running as an event on, we could say, on a separate context. So this is not working directly inside this component's context. So this component does not know that something has changed. It does not know about that this underscore timer's value or any value inside this thing. So if there are cases, this is a valid case, we have these kind of cases. So for this, Blazor gives us something that is called method state has changed. So we can manually tell Blazor that state has been changed, you need to re-render. Now this will be getting executed on separate thread. So for this, it's always a good idea to use invoke async method. Inside this, we can simply our state has changed as a parameter. And then we can await it. It will simply go on the main thread. It is going to call the state has changed. When we say main thread, the main UI thread, state has changed. It will simply re-render this and come back again. So this is how it is going. I have removed all the breakpoints. Let's try to start this. We'll see if it is working. Is it getting boring? Are you guys still here? Could you please someone drop a message? Okay, application is here. We'll say timer 1 and let's say timer 2, timer 1, and we can see which is ugly, which is not doing what we want it to do. 21, 11, 15, then 5, 46, 6. In between, it shows something else, right? The current time. We'll see why this is happening, but at least we can see this thing is changing. 13, 50. Let's try to select some other timer, and we have an error. Operation is not valid due to current state of the object. Now, what happened when we changed the timer? It came here, it reset this timer, it set this periodic timer to new periodic timer instance, but this periodic timer instance was the previous one which was still running, separate thread. So it again tried to do this, but right now this is not valid, so we got that operation is not valid due to the current state of the object, which is it throws that operation cancelled exception. This is cancelled, or we. So now what we can do, we have multiple options here. We can maybe use the same periodic timer. We will simply just reset, or we don't need to actually reset because we are using this underscore timer and we are using datetime.now, so it works. Whatever value of the timer is right now, which is time spent, will work. So we should not have this periodic timer equals this again. What we can do in here, when we are initializing it, at that time we can have this, which we need only. We will move this. All right. Now it should work. When we change it, it should work. Let's run it again. App is coming. Where is it? Why is it? Stop, rerun. Something is not right. Maybe my system. I'm facing this SSD. It is really does not have much space. Here now, timer 1 and timer 2. Like timer 1, you can see it is working. 5, 3, 6, 5. And if you go to timer 2, we still have the same problem. Operation is not valid due to the object. Now, timer's value has been changed outside of this. We just need to handle when we are changing this timer, it comes here. We are again calling the start timer. So on parameter set, we reset this, we call this method again. Now what we are saying that call this method again. Now it will again come here. We have this periodic timer dot wait for next async. It will again try to wait for the next async twice now. Initially it was working here. So what we should do, we should first stop the previous timer, or we should dispose the previous timer, or reset the previous timer, see what we can do, then start it again. Okay, or here we can see if this is the first time or it is first time. or we know whenever we are coming to this component, then we will have the timer. That means we can simply move this start timer method. So these are different options what we can do. We can move this thing on initialize. This is the quickest and easiest option. Save it, right again. Okay, I can't see any activity here. Are you guys here? Can you guys listen me? You guys hear me? Am I audible? Application is here. Let's try now. Timer 1, 2. Select timer 1 is here. Now let's try to select timer 2. It is here. Started from 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I select timer 1 again, it should again start from 0, 1, again. So it is working. The value is not correct, but these things are working. We can reset the timer. On parameter set is working, start timer is working, on initialized is working, and this invoke async thing is also okay. Now let's see what when we are coming here, we are resetting it. Fine. We should maybe first fix this timer value. Time span is from fix this. Once it does that, and let's try to put a break. We'll see why the ticks are why it shows that differently. Once it shows the actual time span, then next time it shows the different. Now timer. Can we change time span to date time? Date time have something some from method on date time. Date time dot. Can we have something on timer? Hours. Okay, let's try this thing. Instead of directly using this time span here, what we can try, maybe we'll say new date time. We'll try to change it, but right now I just wanted to get it working. We'll see if this works fine or not. New date time. Here we can have long ticks, date, ticks and kind, date, time. Then we have year, month, day. Then we year, month, day, hour, minute. So we can maybe use this hour, minute, second one. Else we have lot of things. Okay, this for we'll say now, which will be this date time dot now, or timer dt, which is timer date time. So here we are going to say new date time, year, month, and day, which we can get from now. So now dot year, now dot month, month. Then we can have now dot day. After that, we are going to have our hour, minute, and second from our timers. Timer hour underscore timer dot minutes, then underscore timer dot seconds. Now here we can say simply now minus timer dt. dot, we can get statics start. Okay, application is here. Let's see timer one. Let's select this. Still same. Something's am I missing something? If you guys are still here, can you drop? Can someone drop a comment? What am I missing? Doing now timer antics. It looks fine. Let's do this from ends. Oh, is this? Do we have total ticks? No, but we should have total seconds, right? Yes. Maybe that was total ticks and seconds. Let's try this. Now minus time identity, total seconds. What is the total seconds within the difference? And then we are converting that to time spent. One, like this. No, this is not anything else. Once it shows the correct time, then next time it shows why it is right directly displaying it here. Right now, I'm not sure why this is happening. Run it again. All right, let's try to run again. Stop. Run this one. Selected. It's not changing anything. Not change. Why this is happening? I'm not able to think actually. See what we came here. Initially timer was zero, so zero. Then we here time span dot seconds. Yes, we have this timer value. Now once this timer value is till date time, then it is different. Let me do this. Right now I'm just trying to see. So I'll stop this time. This timer. Set this on parameter set. Let me use the current async version of this. So we'll override on initialized on parameter set async. On parameter set async method. Here, first we'll say timer equals time span dot zero, time span dot zero. After that, I'm going to set this explicitly. This time span dot from seconds now, which is here. Now timer dt. This right. After this, I'm going to await for 1 second. Just a basic thing. Then let's try to do this thing again to see if there is some problem with this thing or periodic timer. There should not be any issue. In which some basic fundamental which I'm not able to capture right now. This again, this thing. Let's start now because find copy this thing again. It should at least change this 4 times. One, three, game. Press timer one. Do this. 55. Is happening. Point. We have one parameter set. Let's print this out. One parameter set is sync. Here, here, one. Selected. Here, zero. Now, time dt should have come here. It didn't come. 8 points. Again, here, timer now, which is dt one timer because this timer value is different. 21, 29, 18 is the current time, right? 9:29. If we now again skipped all these, right now, what is the timer's value? Timer's value is 26. By 26, now timer is again 25. When we say now minus timer, this is the difference. Now is date time, timer dt is also date, right? Now is date time, 8 3 9:30 p.m. Timer dt is 9:29. Then when we say timer total second, start again. We are here. Timer 00 9:30. Timer 12 a.m. Because timer dot r 0. This time timer goes to 9:38. The actual value. Is the problem? Now after that timer dt is now 9 p.m. 31 p.m. Because for the first iteration, why not a stopwatch? Hello from Kigali, Rwanda. Sure, I'll see. That's why I asked you guys to share the country names so that maybe we can plan some time which works for most of the folks. I'm from India, so 9:30 p.m. right now. Why not a stopwatch? Uh, there's no specific reason I'm not using stopwatch. I have been using periodic timer and I like it. Maybe we can try stopwatch also. But right now, this is not working. We are not going to leave it like this. We need to fix. Let's see. So let's do this. If I don't have this timer, use the timer directly now. Second, which I'm not having now. I do this now dot per diff equals this. What is the time of diff? Date time. Date time, time spent. Let's go. Time spent, date time, time spent, date time, time, C sharp, time spent, date time, time spent, time spent. We can do the opposite also. Date time, time spent TS, new time spent. Very logical to convert. Try to understand date. If I say 6 days, use date. If you want to convert time spent to date time, you need a reference. So we are fundamentally mistaken. We need to rethink what we are doing here, what we need to do. Timer, start from here. So the quickest which I can think right now is maybe we can have, whenever we are setting the timer, we can have the current date time or the start time, what we can say, and then we can simply add that date time, right? Or maybe we can get deduce that from the current value, and then we can simply use that here. Let's see. We'll have private date time start. This we are going to set into this parameter set. This is not anything. We'll set time spent to 0. Then we can say start dt equals date time dot now. Then in our start timer method, start this here. Let's try. Now is this one. From now, we want to subtract start dt. Now is date time. Start date is date time. We are going to get the time span, which we can have this timer. We'll say underscore timer equal. If yes, this is the breakpoint. I'm positive we are doing fundamentally wrong thing, right? Thing here now. Let's try timer one. Acted one is work. All right. So now we get at least this thing is working. If on it again resets to zero, and it will start working. This is what we want, right? Yes. Let's now clean this up. Remove all these things. Move the start date top, and here now we can directly just display this display. Don't need this like this. So display timer. We have this. We can just increase the font size, have some styling on this we can say. Okay, we'll add the styling separately later, but right now let's style some bigger font size px. Now on this div, let's have classes display flex. Then we'll say justify and align item center. So these things are in center, both that. And then let's have there's some gap between these. Save, try to hot reload, change this, right? So let's try to run. See, this timer, check this, this right now here, it should be beneath this. For this flex, let's have flex column. By default, the flex direction is 2. Now it should be in a column. First, in first row, we'll have this timer dot name. In second row, we are going to have the timer. Both of these are going to be center aligned. Alright, succeeded. Create this, check this. Now it is cool. We have this thing working, the basic thing. You select the timer, which is here, which is here. Well, TIMR timer 2 or 3. 3 will start from 0, 1. It is going to start with 0. Ideally, it should not start with 0. We'll fix this later once we'll introduce the state persistence. Right now we are okay, we are good. Only thing which will change right now with this is if we are on this timer 1 and we are clicking on the same timer, it should not reset. Or this should can be sort of your vision, how you are envisioning it, how you want to build it. But for me, if we are already on the timer, if we are clicking on it, should not get reset. We are already on there, and so that we can handle inside our own parameters. Okay, how we are going to handle it? We are going to have the previous value. We'll say private underscore timer underscore previous timer, the previous app timer, which will be of type app timer only. This we can handle here, or maybe we can handle this thing home.razor only, right? When we are saying handle timer selection here, yeah, this is going to be a good place to. Here we'll check if underscore selected timer, which is the previous timer, question mark dot id equals timer dot id is a new timer, then we'll return it. We will not do this timer is already left it to reset. Save it. Now we'll see if this is the case. If we are clicking on the same timer again, it will be it will not do anything. Okay, timer is here. One on it, zero, tapping on it, resets. Five. Let's put a breakpoint here. See, let's have timer one, add timer two, add one. They are here, not returning. Okay, now in we are going here. Let's breakpoint parameter set and let's continue. Turn it went to this thing, the previous one timer, and it is again came here and it actually tried to do the same thing. When it came here, it simply came to on parameter. Now, what is happening here? Now, you remember I mentioned about component re-rendering. So when it re-renders, if there is a state variable or whatever private variable or property that is being changed, re-renders, and if there is any event hand that is getting triggered, then also what is happening in this case, event handler is trying to getting changed here. Now, because this app timer is a complex type, it does not know if this thing. There are multiple ways to handle all these scenarios. One is we can maybe have or the basic thing which we parameter set, the bash thing. There are some other uh, methods here which are set parameter async method, which is complex thing. Here also we can handle if we want it's allowed to be pre-render or not. Then we have should render method as well. So these are different things. There are different use cases for these. Maybe we'll see if we need any of these later, then we'll explore these. But right now, best we can do is in this on parameter set here, the thing which we are doing, we will have app app timer. We will have a previous timer here is going to be for the first time. There is not going to be any. Now here we are going to have that check. But check when this value when this method gets changed, so it simply sets this timer value and then it calls. That means this value is going to be changed no matter what happens. But after changing this value, it comes here, then we can handle. So here we can check if the underscore previous timer dot I is not equal timer dot I. If these are same, then we will not do anything. We will return. We will not reset the timer. We will Then here we'll say the timer is not, this is the selected timer, is the selected timer is, we don't need to change any. Now we need to set this previous timer. After this, we'll simply say underscore previous timer equals this time. Alright. Now let's try what happens. Start this. Wait the app come and move these breakpoints. Number one, two, select the timer one, start, let it have some values to see. Now try to change it. See, I'm tapping it and it is not. We press timer 2, it is going to reach timer 2 and 0. Start from 1 to 3, and if I'm tapping on it, I'm clicking on it, nothing is happening. Now it is not reaching. Now if I click on this timer 1, it is going to. Same thing will happen if 3, if 3, then it will. Okay. That means this case is already handled. We don't need to handle this in home. At this home, it does not make sense in this particular. Have been make sense if this, we can have that case here if we render this thing. This case we can have here, then we can maybe modify. We can get rid of this and let it be whatever it, right? It and cool. So we are going good. We are getting good now. Now we need to have maybe, should we have directly pause, resume, stop buttons? We should have cancel button. Yeah, maybe let me do this. Let me have a list of tasks which we need have at this. Maybe in this selected timer, what do we have? We need to have buttons basically. Buttons. We'll have a start. We should not directly start it. Right now, what we are doing when we are tapping the timer from the right sidebar, it simply starts working. But that should not happen. We should tap on it. It should load up in the main screen. Then we should have a start button. Then it should get right. We'll have start, stop, pause, resume. Okay. And we should also have cancel button, a close button. This will say move the selected. Then main timers sidebar, this right sidebar, we are going to have edit and hit buttons. These are action buttons here. And here we should also UI, some UI changes for timers. Right? For this, make some changes. After this, we will introduce maybe state person that we can have here in home page. Let's do this. So these are all the things which we need to implement. Right? State person. We'll use SQLite. Now here, what should happen? Close. Save the value. Save the values in the DB. And on startup, Startup, load the timers. I think these are the basic stuff which we need to. Then one more thing, when we are in selected timer, we have this periodic timer. We need to free up the resources. So on dispose, close and dispose the time, the periodic time, like this. So all these things we need to do. All right. So I guess we should do these next live stream if people are still interested in this. So these are all the things which we do. So if you are interested, then only continue. Actually, there is no point of wasting my time and yours, right? Maybe if it's not going to work out in this live stream, what I can do, maybe I can create a recorded video for this entire project the way I have been creating the project. Then maybe I can stop this. That is also an option. I'll do. All right. And maybe you guys can let me know in the what time works for. Okay, so maybe you can have your time zone and then date time, not just time. Maybe at what time you can spare maybe 1.5 hours or 1 to 2 hours basically for this live stream. So maybe I can plan live stream at that time, right? Right now, what I can see, concurrent viewers have one. It is not giving me any more. Maybe it's better me to create a recorded video. At least I know that people are watching their own page. All right. So I guess that's all for this. We'll sure if we in this, but we'll see. I'm going to drop maybe a couple of polls and messages in the community post, and then we'll see. All right. Okay. Joining. I'll be